All right, everything's good?
Yep, we're good.
All right, let's get started. So the movie today was called Carrion, or Carrion.
Or Carrion. It kind of played fast and loose with how you pronounce the name. Well, especially with a thick Russian accent the girl had.
The word itself was Carrion, which makes sense because that means, like, dead meat carcass.
Yep.
So, but her name was Carrie-Ann. But just to kind of give a summary of it, it was a very short movie. It was on Hulu, and it was about...
It was 1 hour 13.
1 hour and 13 minutes, so it was very short. And it was about a young woman who just got back from Russia, from, like, I guess, a Russian camp in the 80s during the Cold War.
Yeah.
And she basically unwittingly causes chaos wherever she goes, and just kind of starts becoming like a bit of a slasher film halfway through.
Yeah, it was very hard to kind of pin down what direction they were trying to go with in this movie. It didn't know if it wanted to be a slasher film. It didn't know if it wanted to be a science fiction. It didn't know if it wanted to be kind of a like a psychic movie.
Yeah.
Or I guess that would be science fiction as well. It just was really hard to pin down what they were trying to go for.
I will say something that's borderline controversial.
Yeah.
I didn't hate this movie, and obviously I thought it was better than that last one we watched, The Dustwalker.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Because, like, despite the fact that this movie was weird, kind of fast-paced, fast editing, and just jumbled together so that you didn't know what the heck was going on for the longest time. And worse acting than the other movies. Like,
yeah, oh man, it was some of the worst.
Like, this, at the very least, like, things were happening constantly.
Yeah.
And, like, the twist at the end I thought was okay. It wasn't bad. I was like, you know what, that's neat enough.
Yeah, it was a decent enough twist. I would say the biggest shortcomings of this film was the acting, the dialogue, and
like they had
and the pacing and the editing.
It's like they had an idea, but they didn't really have much of a story to go behind it. Like, if they just kind of stuck to everything, everything that the story was telling, then the movie would only be like half an hour long. So you can kind of tell that they started, I guess, adding more and more things to keep our the interest up, or to keep the movie moving.
Yeah, it's kind of the polar opposite of the normal tragedy that comes with modern independent film, where it's, instead of one idea stretched out for an hour and a half with no real no real good execution, it's 3 or 4 ideas stretched out for about an hour and some change with no clear direction.
Yeah, it's we didn't even get our first, I guess, official like kill in this movie, other than flashbacks. We didn't get our first victim until there was half an hour of the movie left.
Yeah, what was it, like 45, 50 minutes in?
Yeah.
It was pretty far into the movie.
And, like, because I remember I was waiting for some food, and I remember there was I knew when I put the food in, I put like an hour timer on, and I looked and we had an hour and 6 minutes left, before the movie was over. So basically the amount of time that the food was in the oven was for the duration of the movie.
Yeah.
And I remember asking, I remember checking to see how much time I had left on my chicken, and there was half an hour left, and this was before the first kill even happened. But yeah, the movie was, like you said, it was kind of directionless, aimless.
Yeah.
I guess they were trying to go for an almost hypnotic effect because of the I guess the hypnotic almost powers.
And the cocaine use, I suppose.
Yeah. So I understand, why. I understand, like, trying to, build this almost hypnotic atmosphere where it's just surreal. But the thing is, most of the time, a good surreal plot, usually you have like some solid ground to stand on, so you know how far you've gone one way or the other.
Yeah.
Although I guess not always, because I mean, the thing about Eraserhead, and there is no baseline in that movie whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I thought they were going for with this movie, is kind of a David Lynch type direction. And like a combination of David Lynch, maybe a little bit of Tarantino from Pulp Fiction, with the editing.
The jumble.
Yeah, and Kubrick from 2001.
I guess because there's stretches where nothing happens, you know, so the and I'm just gonna I guess we kind of have to address a very big part of the movie, which is right smack dab in the middle for absolutely no reason whatsoever. There was just a long ass sex scene between two different couples, and it was awkward, and it kept on editing it back and forth and jumping back and forth, and it was just weird. I was like, I don't.
There was almost no provocation.
I was like, I just like, can't we just kind of, I don't know, move on for it? Because like, if it was just, I thought it was just gonna be like a quick, like 2 or 3 minute thing.
Yeah.
And then and then it just kept going on. It was like the rave scene in The Matrix, you know, where you jump back from one thing to people having sex and then to another thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just, it felt out of place. But again, I guess it's supposed to be, oh, she's, you know, hypnotic and seductive, and you know, and that's kind of like her, you know, the whole demonic angle they were trying to go with, but I don't know, it felt weird to me.
I guess like I think they were going for that their lives were somewhat normal until she came around and with her brain powers kind of made it worse.
Yeah, now everyone's
everyone's you know, kind of eager and raring to go, and you know, I guess it's implied that it is by her, because I think, you know, the religious lady is like battling her demons with it.
Yeah.
where she had that what seemed like a 5-hour prayer, you know, topless prayer scene.
Yeah, it was definitely and she was just not a good actress. Like I remember saying like in the middle of the weird nude prayer scene that like, man, it feels like Neil Breen wrote this, you know. He wrote and directed it. It felt like a Neil Breen movie. Like, I can't believe, oh, the demons are here. How can I stop the demons? Please give me guidance for the demons.
Though Neil Breen wishes, Neil Breen thinks he's, you know, freaking, he thinks he's Kubrick himself.
Yeah. Like Neil Breen, you know, wishes he had the same kind of quality cameras with that movie, because most of the time he just uses his old razor to film movies on, it seems like, and he edits together the scenes like
a man who has a violent hatred for laptops.
I would go as far to say he has a violent hatred for cinema. Like he wants nothing to do with the media itself. He just wants to end it, and he feels that by infecting cinema, maybe that and then of course people love it. You know, people love the cheesiness of it. And don't get me wrong, I've seen one of his movies. And
it was awful.
Fascinating.
It's almost like a not Salvador Dali. What was the what was the guy who directed Empire?
Oh, that was Andy Warhol.
Yeah, it's kind of like an Andy Warhol experiment where he's trying to stretch the medium to its limits. I don't think he understands the medium. Maybe Neil Breen's family died in like a theater fire, and he's trying to get back at the medium. They
all got caught in like a horrible editing machine accident, and he's just trying to leave his mark on film itself. Like, I will end all film as soon as I can.
What was the Neil Breen movie we watched?
We watched, I think, Double Down. It was one where he was apparently in Vegas. We wouldn't know because he was in the desert, but and he was like a super secret spy kind of thing.
Yep. I forgot. It was pretty much him in the desert eating cans of tuna and sleeping on his laptops.
And like he kept on typing into laptops that clearly weren't
Yeah.
on, and it was distracting. Like, do you have such a contempt for your audience that you think that this is gonna fool us?
Like, he would open his trunk and then mount his DirecTV satellite dish, and that would be his connection to the world. And and he would just spout a litany of insane conspiracy theories, and just then go to bed.
And that was the whole movie. He did
Yeah.
that about 10 times, and then he stopped doing it. And when he stopped doing it, that was with the cue that the movie was over.
I guess it was. Oh.
Like, I remember, I don't remember much about that movie just because there was nothing to remember. It was it had a weird distinction of being both absolutely remarkable for how bad it was, yet absolutely forgettable for how bad it was.
Wasn't there like a subplot with his dead wife?
Yeah, where he was like the government agencies or something were like conspired to have her killed, and now he was like hunting them, but he was also trying to stop a terrorist attack in Las Vegas, which, you know, I don't know, like it just seems like, even though he had three kind of plots to this, like one where a man shouts at nothing, one where a man shouts at nothing to avenge his wife, and one where a man shouts at nothing to stop terrorists, none of them really seem to be explored well enough, I feel.
Yeah. And he didn't he always kind of get knocked out by someone and then wake up next to his car? It was like a Simpsons sketch.
You drug the tea.
Exactly.
You knew my one weakness. No, I know I've only seen I've seen reviews of the other movies that he's done.
Yeah.
And
we gotta watch some more of those.
I really think we do. There's one of them where he's Jesus.
Oh yeah, like Robot Jesus or something like that.
I think he's just regular, good old fashioned Jesus. Like, he doesn't need any bells and whistles to be Jesus. He just comes down in a toga.
You know, if you're gonna be Jesus, you don't really need to be a robot.
Yeah.
You know, you got powers.
Yeah, like I think that it kind of, you know, I don't know Neil Breen personally, obviously. I don't know what he's like. He might be like the nicest guy in the world, but I don't know anyone who made themselves Jesus in their own movie who didn't have a little bit of an ego.
I guess I could see Mel Gibson doing that though.
Oh yeah, the Passion of the Gibson. I think that'd be a pretty cool.
And then now more, you know, oh man.
You know, maybe Lethal Weapon 5 will have a cameo by Jesus Gibson.
Well, that was kind of that reminds me of our idea of Lethal Weapon 5.
Oh yeah, the
robots.
Yeah. I remember I had the whole thing in my head, like almost cinematic.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like LA's like kind of you know, a much darker and desolate place.
Yeah, kind of like Blade Runner.
Yeah, and like, you know, the kids of Riggs and Murtaugh just kind of hanging out and, you know, together, and then they learn about their parents who were like legendary cops in the LAPD, but the LAPD is switched over to robot cops, and then the robot cops kind of get infected.
Yep.
And so they have to bring back the initial prototype that they, you know, and it's Robot Riggs and Robot Murtaugh.
Yep.
And yeah, it was like we had the whole thing like almost outlined about how great it would be.
It would have been phenomenal, because you have to think, like, Mel Gibson and Danny Glover are, you know, they're not really up to doing the, you know, the stunts and the action scenes.
But their voices.
But yeah, you could still plop their asses behind a microphone.
Like, I would start taking their like, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Oh man. You know, we should write a pitch for that.
Yeah, we should send it to Fox.
Yeah.
I don't know who owns Lethal Weapon. Actually, I think it's Warner Brothers.
Is it Warner?
Yeah,
No,
it's Warner Brothers.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure it's Fox.
Let's put it this way. I know for a fact that in Lethal Weapon 2, the movie starts with the Warner Brothers logo.
Okay.
Because I've seen it 100,000 times. But since then, actually no, I think it's still owned by Warner Brothers, because when they did the Lethal Weapon TV show, even though it was on Fox, Warner Brothers still owned it. And that was, I think...
so they just...
they lent it to them.
Yeah, they just, I guess, paid for the rights to use the name type deal.
And like the characters, which is a shame because if I had that genie's lamp, that's one of those wishes I would have, that there wasn't all the behind the scenes drama that caused it to split up. Because that show to me, like the first 2 seasons, I mean the third season was okay, but it just wasn't the same. And the first 2 seasons were so good that I was heartbroken when all that stuff went down. And they had to change the cast and everything, and then they just canceled the show. I'm like, man.
Oh, they did cancel?
Yeah, they did cancel. They canceled after season 3. I'm like, man, this is a shame. Because even Damon Wayans, after, like in the middle of season 3, when, they fired the one guy because they weren't getting along, they're like, I guess Damon Wayans is the more bankable guy, so we'll keep him. And then Damon Wayans is like, I don't know if I want to do a season 4. I was like, what are you doing? It was almost like these actors were so perfect together. And it was the thing that made the show so good, but also the thing that made the show end. If these two weren't in the show, it wouldn't have been near as good, but it also would have probably kept on going.
Now, was there a fallout between the 2 actors?
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of behind... There was at first they were okay, then there was, a lot of behind-the-scenes drama, and to the point where they didn't even want to, be in the same room at the same time.
Holy shit.
There was, audio of them screaming at each other and everything like that. Yeah, and I'm like, man, that is a shame because on screen their chemistry was top notch. It was like, man, this is such good casting. But nope, things that was I think they got canceled in 2016, and that, as far as I'm concerned, is that was the year, just from beginning to end, that I know a lot of people say all right, this is where the universe kind of just started, just going into different territory, and I think that led to 2020. Of course, I look back now and I'm like, oh, look at the poor little 2016. Wah. Oh, did you guys have to worry about a virus? Oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, poor little babies.
I think we need to stop that meme that says, oh man, 20 something or other was terrible. Next year's my year.
Yeah,
because the world's falling apart. We need to stop this.
I think the next meme is going to be the world saying that, all right, 2020 wasn't my best year, but 2021 is going to be the year for planet Earth. And then things just fall apart. 2021, or the Earth's just going to get drunk at a New Year's party, and it's going to have a terrible hangover to ring in the new year. And it's going to be, there's going to be, oceans just shooting out into space as he vomits into the sun. Or she vomits into the sun, because she's a mother.
Oh, yeah.
And, there's going to be mountains that just kind of just fall apart because their skin just... I don't know. I'm taking this metaphor too far.
I don't know where you're going with this. I'm on board.
I'm trying to think of all the things I had when my worst hangovers, but I don't think I've ever had skin falling off.
What'd you drink?
Turpentine. It was not my best decision, but...
oh, man. Why did I drink the hydrofluoric acid?
Well, that was a crazy night, though, right?
Yeah.
Crazy night. It's like, man, once you start peeing that out, that's gonna play hell on you. It's like you hear me shouting in the bathroom. I told you. I warned him. You have to take aspirin before you go to bed, or else you get that.
Gotta stay hydrated.
It's like, but it'll just convert the hydrogen ion. Whatever. It's like, me. I was drinking Gatorade the whole time, so I feel great.
No acids for old Britain.
You gotta dilute the acid a little bit. Any chemist will tell you that.
Though I wonder what would happen if you just drank baking soda, or mixed baking soda in a drink and drank that. You drink
the acid first, and then you just kind of, you drink. Maybe you put a lot of baking soda in a time release capsule. You put it in you wrap it in
a condom.
Or no.
Okay, yeah.
That won't break.
Oh.
You put in some bubble gum. I hear that if you bubble gum will make it last for a few hours, and then it'll start breaking down. Whatever's in there will start seeping out.
Okay.
And so you drink the acid, and you swallow the bubble gum first. You drink the acid, then you just kind of wait. Play that waiting game.
That's
and see
a
what
long
happens.
waiting game.
It's it's a couple hours, but it's just kind of sit there. You check the clock, all right, any minute now, and I'll be dead.
Would that just make a bubbling mess?
I honestly don't know. I don't think I don't think science is allowed to test in that kind of...
I guess.
Like, I think that, I imagine that you would just have... It's got to go somewhere, you know? You just have it coming out of your ears, like the foam and everything like that. You start crying foam.
Man, it's like a Three Stooges sketch.
It's like, it just starts pouring out, even though you didn't get shot, it just starts pouring out the pores in you. Oh, that'd be. I remember there was like a South Park episode where he ate a bunch of antacid, you know, because he thought it was candy. Kenny did, and then he just drank the water and he just like exploded into like a mess, you know, a bubbly, foamy mess. And I think it would be something like that.
Yeah. Ugh.
Or maybe steam will just come out of your ears. Need a sound effects machine for that. I'd play it.
Man, where could we get a sound effects machine?
I have no idea. I think that the problem is if we ever had a sound effects machine on here, I know I would abuse it. 100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I don't even know what sound effects would become preloaded on a sound effects machine. I'm sure there's farts, and then they would just every time you began to speak, I'll just burp, burp, burp.
Oh yeah, that's kind of how I see it would go down is. You know, if we get a sound effects machine, it's just gonna be, we're not gonna speak, we're just gonna put fart noises back and forth.
It's just gonna be like a battle to see who can do the craziest sound effects. Like, it'd be like an elephant and then a jackhammer. You know, what does that mean, Mark? Well, let me explain what I was meant to. Is an elephant working construction? Okay.
Or it gets down to just celebrity breakdowns like Christian Bale on Terminator Salvation.
It's like, that's a really long sound effect, and imagine once you push the button it doesn't stop, so we have to like wait for it to run its course. We try talking over and like, okay, so hey yo, shut up, just shut up.
Oh, da-da-da-da.
Like, I regret pushing this one. Or it's like, it's the Independence Day speech from Bill Pullman. It's like, you know, I like this, but like, come on, hurry up. I want to get back to the talking now.
It's the Kennedy inauguration speech.
It's the Gettysburg Address. It's like, man, how'd they get that sound? That's crystal clear. Like, I didn't think Lincoln sounded like that. Oh, scoring 7 years ago.
He sounds like what's his name? The guy who played the dinosaur in Toy Story.
Wallace Shawn.
Yeah, he sounds like 7 years ago.
It's Gilbert Gottfried. 7 years ago.
Danny DeVito.
7 years ago. Like, man, I did not think Lincoln sounded like Danny DeVito, but I can kind of see it now.
Man, how did he...
Daniel Day-Lewis, nothing.
Yeah, with a voice like that, how did he heal a shattered nation?
Like, I want to see, instead of Daniel Day-Lewis Lincoln, I want to see the Danny DeVito Lincoln.
Oh my god.
Mary! Quite contrite. I got nothing. Actually, I don't know. I've never seen the movie, so I don't know what he says. I think he said he just tells people's rambling stories.
Yeah,
and that's it.
It's just the movie is just an old man, just telling old man anecdotes about nothing. Like, oh, I gotta change the toilet paper. We're out of toilet paper over there. Yeah, there was one time where I was out of toilet paper, and I went down to the forest. The forest is where you would get your toilet paper when you didn't have none.
The bears had it there.
And we would go to the old birch tree and peel the bark off the birch tree, and that would be your toilet paper.
And he looks everyone's gone.
Yeah, or asleep. And that's how you would get your toilet paper in a hurry. And the moral of this story is you gotta know where the old birch tree is, or you'll be up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, or something like that.
That's him laughing at the end.
Yeah.
Like he told a joke.
Yeah, he told a funny.
He's a predator also. Like after John Wilkes Booth shoots him, he's like beep 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 beep. And then that's
it. Doesn't go off.
Their bomb technology wasn't very good in the 19th century. like I said, I was thinking of like I was trying to run through things I knew about Lincoln to do Danny DeVito voices for, and I know apparently surprisingly very little about Lincoln.
Because he scared you.
Yeah, well, of course he scared me. Yeah, to be fair, it wasn't just Lincoln that scared me specifically. It was the ghost of Abraham Lincoln, which I think is definitely warranted. Like I remember reading, like we had these scary books. I don't know why I read them. There was a bunch of them, like,
yeah.
and all of them had different scariness, like, levels to them. Like one of them had this weird mask that was like a person's face. It was like a death mask.
Okay.
I remember like just taking a dump one time when I was a kid and like reading through these books and turning to that page, and I was glad I was on the toilet because it scared the shit out of me.
What was it? A picture?
Yeah, it was a picture of a person's face.
Oh man, was this Scary Stories to Tell
No,
in the Dark?
no. This was like a like almost like an encyclopedia type thing. It was a thin book, but
yeah.
It was presenting these things in like, you know, as if
like
they
a
were real.
bestiary of types of.
Yeah, as if they were real. Like, you know, all right, this is a book about astral projection. You know, it'd be a whole book about different, you know, aspects of it and different, like, you know, pop culture things. And,
was it for kids?
No. No, and I think that was the problem. And one of them was talking about Lincoln and how about Lincoln's ghost haunting, you know, different places, and they were telling stories about like the Queen of the Netherlands or something, you know, was woken in the middle of the night because she slept in the Lincoln bedroom.
Yeah.
And she opened a door and Lincoln was just staring down at her. And then there was another story of somebody who was sleeping again in the Lincoln bedroom, and they woke up to like they saw Lincoln, you know, the ghost of Lincoln pulling on his boots at the end of the bed.
Oof.
Yeah, that I'm telling you, those stories scared the hell out of me. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and look. I know I wasn't in the Lincoln bedroom, but I just worry that I'd look over and just see Lincoln just sitting there, or worse, just standing over me looking down.
I guess.
Old Honest Abe.
Though they're not the most terrifying scenarios. Just a man at the end of your bed putting on his boots.
Oh, sure, but it's also a man who's been dead for 50 years or 150 years.
You know, just someone looming over your bed when you first wake up is going to be terrifying, no matter if the person's dead or alive.
Yeah, and if it's that gaunt, you know, face of Lincoln staring down at you.
This giant of a man
who just looks down with his goatee, and just, you know, and I think there's a little bit of shame in there. Like, there's a little bit like, you're not doing all you can for the country, are you, Sonny? Pepperidge Farm, remember?
And you just want to be a 8-year-old and go to sleep.
Yeah, I didn't want to be shamed into loving the country. You know?
He didn't want to have to be a patriot.
Yeah, I just wanted to sleep in my bed and not have to worry about the ghost of Lincoln reprimanding me,
or the political consequences of things that are going down at the time.
Like, listen, Link. Better get your tall ass out of here. Like, just go away. But it was also funny to me that in all those stories they also had they were talking about other places that he was haunting, like Ford's Theater. They say they'd see like lights flickering every now and again in the booth that he was at. And I'm like, I didn't think Lincoln was the type to bring a lighter to a show. Like, he shows up to Leonard Skinner.
So he has to travel a lot.
Yeah, I mean...
Man, he has to, like... Do you think he has a calendar, like, oh, this time I gotta go to Ford's Theater and haunt them, and because they're expecting me, and it's Halloween, and now I gotta go back to the Lincoln bedroom because some heiress is sleeping in there.
I think that he's a doddering old man and just winds up in places. He just wonders, like, oh, how did I get to Ford's Theater? Like, he can't take a carriage anymore. He's got to walk back home, and he forgot his boots on the bed.
He forgot how to fly or float or whatever ghosts do. Like, with every year that passes, you know, he becomes less and less connected to this world,
and things just become harder and harder.
Like, he accidentally haunted some a poor village family in Italy, having wandered through an ocean. Like, there's like a shrine to him to keep the Lincoln away. He's like the boogeyman over there. It has a... it's surrounded by garlic. How did they know I didn't like garlic? Garlic was not my favorite. There was a dream book that we had
It was like a dream interpretation book, which I used to read a lot. But it was definitely. I say I had it, but it was some of my parents had. I remember two things about this book. One, I guess three things, but one, that it was apparently written by a strict Freudian, because everything in the book was like repressed sexual, tendencies. Like, did you fire a gun in your dream? Ho ho ho! Let me tell you what that represents.
What about my teeth falling out?
Well, that's actually you grinding your teeth in your sleep. But the cover of the book had like a man and a woman standing but naked and locked in embrace. Like, you couldn't see anything except for like a whole lot of leg. Like the girl's leg was wrapped around the dude, wrapped around the dude and everything. And they were, it was the most passionless embrace I think I've ever seen, because like she was looking away and hugging him, and he was like kind of looking above her, I guess for direction, or maybe he was thinking about what he wanted to have for lunch. And in the beginning of the book, it was talking about why dreams were so important, and like why we study them, and it was talking about a rumor which I've heard from several places, but no one can really verify it. And it was talking about that the night before Lincoln, or maybe it was like the week before Lincoln was assassinated, he had a dream that he attended his own funeral. Mm-hmm. He walked into the West Wing, and there was like a funeral going on. Like, who's doing this funeral? Who's the corpse?
Colt 45.
Tell me, whose body is in there? And
look at that handsome devil.
Oh my. Well, why'd you keep the hat? Was it really that important you had to add an extra foot to the coffin?
What's under that hat? Oh, I see now.
Oh, so that's what happened.
So what about the...
Well, that was basically it. Like, he looked down and he said, whose body is that? What is all the funeral stuff about? What's with the black balloons? And... Do they have black balloons at funerals?
No, they don't have any balloons.
Because it seems like something that they shouldn't have, but for some reason I just figured that, oh well, it's a celebration, we might as well have balloons.
It's not a celebration. No one celebrates during a funeral.
It's a celebration of the person's life,
I guess.
That's why you have pictures. Man, like all these black balloons, I kind of feel like we're sending the wrong message.
It's like a black wavy inflatable tube man at a funeral.
It's like they have like, I mean, everyone's wearing black. There's black umbrellas, you know what I mean? But so like, I guess it stands to reason in my head that they would just have black balloons and maybe like black party streamers.
There's a clown in monochrome makeup.
It's like Puddles, the sad clown. Yeah. He's singing funeral dirges.
Oh, Danny boy.
It's like, man, this clown is beautiful. He sprays people with like one of those funeral flowers.
The daisies.
Yeah, they just,
or the what are the?
I think it's lilies.
Yeah,
and
something.
And it's like it's on his lapel, but he sprays people in the face with it. Like, I'm very sorry for your loss. Very sorry for your loss. Makes balloon animals, but into like gravestones and
or crucifixes,
or hearses. Like little kids are running around with their sad black hats on,
the cone hats.
Balloons. Yeah, made out of balloons. And they got black swords that they're sword fighting with.
They have those. They have black party favors, and somehow it's always in a minor. That a minor or a foghorn sound.
It's like, I know there's black wreaths, right? I think there are.
No, I don't think so.
I've been to a few funerals. I guess I just never paid attention to the decor.
It's just flowers.
It's just people being sad.
Yeah.
It's like, not me. We got the confetti thrown everywhere. We got
black confetti.
Yeah, black confetti. It's like you got party favors for the kids. It's like, be sure to take a fruit basket. I think that Mark would have liked this.
Black rotten fruit.
Yeah.
Fruit.
No, it's like it's a nice, bright, colorful fruit basket. Just the basket is black and the little bow is black. Little ribbon they have around it. It's like, people are playing like, music, but it's sad music, but it's still like music being pumped through the loudspeakers.
Yeah. There's a black polka dot twister mat.
Like, pin the tail on the corpse. It's like, oh, Timmy, you got his eyeball.
Bobbing for lemons.
It's like, I wouldn't mind going to funerals at this point. I mean, I said I've been to some funerals and a lot of them were pretty sad, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
A lot of the people didn't, seem to not want the person to be dead.
Yeah. Whichever one of us dies first, we have to be the party planner for their funeral.
I already told you how I want things to go. Like, I just want a recording of me. I guess I gotta record it at some point, so we have it. But a recording of me reading Goodnight Moon. And prop my corpse up so that people have to sit in the lap and get a picture taken.
Didn't you say you wanted that big picture of yours to be of Sloth?
Yeah,
from the
big
Goonies?
oil painting of Sloth screaming. And because I know that nobody in the funeral, people would just walk by, pay their respects, they'd look at the painting, but they wouldn't say a word about the painting because they just don't want to seem insensitive.
Yeah. But as soon as they leave, as soon as they're in the car,
just what's with that oil painting?
I know, what was that?
Why did he have Sloth on there?
That was weird. He
didn't play Sloth, did he?
No, he was a kid.
Did he like Goonies?
No. Did you sit on his lap?
Oh, I had to.
Yeah. Did you get the pictures?
Well, yeah. They're gonna send it to us.
Did you get two 8x5s or?
Well, I got the 7x11. I thought it'd be good, but I got wallet sized.
Okay.
It was a package. It was like the photographer's making bank. Like,
oh yeah.
It's like they did a wedding earlier, and they're like, you know what? I don't know why this guy wants this, but I'm making a lot of money off this funeral.
Well, it's kind of bringing back that thing that they would do back in the olden days, where they would just prop up the corpse, and take a family portrait with it.
It's like they would have, they would like. I would set a precedent, but of course after like the 100th griever, like the wire, that's holding me together starting to fall apart. Like I'm no longer, and like the Goodnight Moon's starting to drag. Like the files become corrupted. Good night. No! Sit in his lap, Timmy. That was your uncle. And my head's like lolled to one side, like my shoulders become separated.
How big's your family?
Like, I'm imagining that there's going to be a lot of well-wishers for my funerals. They're like, like, wow, like, who was Mark to you? Well, I just heard that there was a party with black confetti and party streamers, so I just crashed the funeral, Like, my funeral planner has got, it's got some bank, and I don't even care about the coffin. Just get a fridge and just take the middle part out and just stick me in there. Same thing. Even have some magnets on the end of it. Like, good job. Like, put like a test on it. It says like B+. So people are like, oh, that's still kind of tragic.
And then they just close the fridge and chain it, just in case.
Just in case he's still alive, we don't want him coming back. We've clearly had enough of him. That's the point of the funeral.
I want to be shot out of a cannon like Hunter S. Thompson, but not my ashes, me, in my totality. I want to be shot out of a cannon. I don't know, into a moving school bus.
I figure you want like a target and see like. Have like a stipulation in your will that however close your corpse lands to the center of the target, that's how much more. That's a bonus check that they get.
Okay, so what we could do is there's a checkerboard on the ground,
okay.
And their numbers, and whoever has the number. My corpse lands on gets the contents of my will.
Yeah, you point the cannon in the air. It's like the cow pie bingo that they do. Like wherever the cow takes a dump, you get they win. So you kind of get the same thing. Like, all right, like oh poor Britain, but I do have number 42. Come on, 42.
Yep, and then
up. He landed half between 83 and 96, so it gets split between the gardener. And the Duke.
Well, it's wherever my head lands. Because I know it's probably you would have a scenario where like half of my corpse lands in one square.
Well,
And so it's like, though, knowing my luck, even in death, like my head lands in the corner where all four squares meet.
it's like, oh, we gotta do it again. They jam it back in. Like, see me, I'm gonna have whoever's doing it. If you go first,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just be like, all right, I think more is better with the gunpowder. Like, I think you guys can kind of go crazy with it. I mean, don't be afraid to really put it in there. It's like, where do you get the like? I guess all funeral places just have gunpowder just laying around.
Like, if we're gonna be a part of this industry, we would.
Like, man, why do you guys have all this gunpowder? Like, listen, you'd be surprised how much gunpowder we go through, and it's a business write-off, so, it's not an expense to us at the end of the year. It's like funeral gunpowder.
It has a specific grade. It's like the government had to step in and say, all right, you could only have so many parts per million of a certain reactive substance.
Yeah, it's like you don't get you can no longer have grade A gunpowder. You have to get grade C government gunpowder from now on.
And like there's a scenario in the future where like there's a firefight and people are pinned down and they just managed to barely make it out by having used crappy funeral grade gunpowder.
See, I was thinking of something completely different, where at the funeral there's like, I don't know, it's like an action movie now, where Hans Gruber and his gang kind of show up to the funeral. We're going to take the contents of his will. I don't know. That's not what Hans Gruber sounded like at all, but it's close enough. I think if I walked around and talked like that all the time, people would know.
German.
That I'm doing a Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
Shoot the glass. Okay, maybe not. But anyway, he comes in and he starts trying to take over things, but the funeral planners, they're ready. Shoot the powder keg.
I imagine it's muskets as well.
Oh yeah.
Hold on.
This better be going somewhere. It will. I missed. Hold on.
Okay, you get one more chance.
It's like at the end, the guy's got the musket taped to his back. What was it you said to me before? Farewell and good tidings. I don't know what they say at funerals either. Get well. Get better soon.
A little late for that.
Congratulations.
God bless.
It's like someone sends the wrong funeral cake. Because I'm imagining there's a funeral cake now.
Of course there is.
The funeral cake and balloons, they get sent to the wrong place. So the graduate gets all the funeral supplies, but the funeral gets all the graduation gear, and it says like congratulations and better things lie ahead.
You're gonna have a great future.
I'm gonna have it's like I'm gonna have a pinata at my funeral. But you can double up. Just stuff me with candy.
I was gonna say, what's in the pinata? Just candy?
There's gonna be candy, but it's gonna be like almond joy, and candy that people don't really like.
It's gonna be that grandma coffee table candy.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the strawberries wrapped up in the strawberry wrapping.
Yep, I like those.
I actually do too. Like, I like the grandparents' candy. Whenever I'd go to my grandparents' house, like I'd put a hurting on them. Like, they'd have to go back to the grandpa store, to get the candy supply, because you can't get it anywhere else. They'd have the root beer, barrels,
yeah,
the little things.
Yeah, they'd have the butterscotch.
Oh, I loved butterscotch.
I did not like butterscotch.
Oh man, I remember I realized how old I really was when I was in college, and I saw a bag of Werther's Originals. Like, I bought it. I was like, okay, cool. So I was hanging out in class, and I was like, I wonder if the fellow students would like a Werther's Original.
Oh, no.
And I was like, no, this is how you get. This is like my first semester. I'm like, this is how you get a weird reputation. Like,
hey, young man, would you like a Werther's?
Get out of here, Gramps. That's how you get a nickname of Gramps. Better than my nickname I got, Dinglefoot. That wasn't a real nickname.
How'd you get that name?
Well, it's actually my last name, so I guess it made sense.
Oh, you're before Ellis Island?
Yeah, Mark Dinglefoot. It was like they changed it as soon as I got here. They're like, all right, like, you guys don't have to change your name. Actually, we think it sounds good. Like, no, please change our name. Like, when we left Italy, it was because we were just running from our name.
The Dinglefoots.
It's like my grandpa still has like the Dinglefoot heirlooms and everything.
The Dinglefoot coat of arms.
He's got the. It's just got like a Monty Python type foot with just a bunch of dingles hanging from it.
Yeah, just Christmas ornaments.
It's like, we had a proud Dinglefoot name. My ancestors visit me sometimes in my sleep. Why did you leave the Dinglefoot community?
The Dinglefoot clan will not allow you to go to Dinglefoot Valhalla.
You have besmirched the Dinglefoot name. Now forever, your ancestors will be cursed. It's like, get out here, Grandpa. I suck him up into a vacuum cleaner. 'Cause that's how ghosts work, according to Casper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Casper. Which is in the Ghostbusters universe, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah, so in the Ghost... I guess... Hear me out.
Uh-huh.
If Casper's in the Ghostbusters universe, then I guess the Ghostbusters video game is also in the universe because they had a ghost vacuum.
Yeah.
And so I guess it makes sense. In the video game, they had a ghost vacuum. In Casper, they had a ghost vacuum. Well, it's just a regular vacuum, but it sucked up ghosts anyway.
Now, does that also mean Luigi's Mansion is in the Ghostbusters universe?
You know what? It almost has to be, because it's got a ghost vacuum, and it was on Nintendo, and so was the Ghostbusters game.
So that means the entire Mario universe is also in the Ghostbusters universe.
That means that at some point in a future Ghostbusters movie, we might see a Boo.
Yeah. Or
not the monkey. I mean,
a Boo.
Yeah.
You know, the Boo.
The Boo. The Boo.
The Boo Box.
No!
And, yeah, or you have the Ghostbusters versus Koopa.
I mean, I think they would just murder him, because he's not a ghost.
Yeah,
It'd be the skeleton Koopa. You know, the dry bones
Yeah,
Koopa.
oh, yeah.
Like, aim for the, snout!
They could slime him, though. With the good slime.
And turn him good.
Yeah.
That's why he goes go-karting and playing golf and tennis with these guys.
I have a feeling it would turn bitter like West Baptist Church. it would be good intentions twisted, poorly.
Like Koopa's out there protesting.
Yeah.
Carrying signs like, I really think that, hear me out, guys.
Yeah.
I really think we need to hit him with the bad slime.
He's holding a sign, God hates blue shells.
I'm sorry. I know that we don't have a lot of blue slime, but I say we shout at it a little bit and then kind of make it bad slime and then spray him, because I feel that he's just really mixed up right now.
He's confused. At least when he was evil, you knew where he stood.
Yeah, now you just, like, when he was bad, like, you would still invite him, to your outings. You'd still have Olympic Games with him versus Sonic.
Yeah.
But now we don't want we can't invite him. We can't invite him to picnics anymore.
You can't really hold a conversation with him.
It always just devolves back down to the blue shells. Yeah. So that would make sense, because in the Mario movie,
okay,
we can spray some of that slime with the fungus. Maybe the fungus has a connection to the slime.
Yeah. Well, I thought the king was the fungus.
Well, he couldn't be all of the fungus.
I think he was all of the fungus.
He was 100% of the fungus?
He was all of the fungus.
I thought he was just a big turd ball of fungus.
No, he was all of the fungus, because you remember he was giving them little trinkets and gifts and stuff like that.
Maybe so when he takes the mushroom out and it grows big, the king's still in, the spirit of the king's still in there?
I guess.
And when he throws it away, he just threw the king away.
Yeah.
It's like, man, there was a lot of the king.
Yeah.
There's a lot, because there was a lot of fungus there.
Do you think he actually liked it a little bit better as the fungus? Because his sphere of influence was so much bigger. he had surpassed consciousness that mere mortals had attained, and was now just one with nature and the universe, and then when he was brought back, he was now just this.
Lance Henriksen.
Was that Lance?
It was Lance Henriksen.
That was Lance Henriksen.
Lance Henriksen. So my belief is that the sequel would have been the evil Lance Henriksen, because once you reach that level of power,
Yeah.
there's no going back.
Yeah, even though Koopa took over, Lance Henriksen was a tyrant.
He was a good-natured king at first, but once he got mushroomed, then he came back to being human. Things just kind of changed.
Like, you don't go from being fungus back to a person and, not take something with you.
Yeah, you don't lose something in translation when that happens.
You don't go back to normal.
Yeah, like he wakes up some days and realizes that he's flesh and bone, and it just depresses him a little bit.
There are just times where, Daisy's in her chambers and she just hears screams for hours.
And so he burns the kingdom down.
While he fiddles.
Yeah, and then that's why she comes up like, "You're never gonna believe this." It's like, "I believe." What's going on, Daisy? My father became a mushroom, deity, and then when he came back to normal, he lost a bit of his humanity, and now he's gone crazy and he started burning down the kingdom. Oh. He just unbuckles his plumbing belt. No. I think that you're good on this one.
They just dynamite the sewer that the portal's through.
It's like, there we go. No more problems. No more Yoshi. No more Dennis Hopper. Everything's good.
I don't know why they didn't do that to begin with.
Oh, because they wanted to save her. Oh, see ya, Daisy. Sucks that happened to you, but boom. Seems like your problem now.
Scapelli can fix the pipes, though.
So you know what? Maybe this is a bit over our heads, being plumbers and all. Maybe we should call the feds in on this.
I wonder what would happen if they had thrown the dynamite into that, rock portal. Where would that explosion go? Or, where is that world that was in between worlds?
The in-between worlds. I think that was actually the negative zone. When you can really jump down at the end of World 1, 2 and squeeze in and, break the glitch of the game, you can go into the negative zone.
Or is that just, time and space? They throw the dynamite in, and that's how, Archduke Ferdinand got assassinated and started World War One.
I think that when he's flying around in that weird time-space thing, that is what Lance Henriksen sees all the time as fungus.
Oh, man.
So when he comes back, he's just a loon. He's just gone.
Going from seeing all of the cosmos back to just being Lance Henriksen. You can't go back to that.
See, I imagine in the sequel where he's the bad guy, he can kind of turn to fungus at will, parts of his body and everything.
He's like a gross, slimy T-1000.
Almost. He's normal at times, but if, there's a locked door, he can just, he can make his foot turn to fungus and unlock it on the other side.
So he's like a gross, slimy mummy.
Yeah. It would be, yeah, exactly.
From
Instead
the
of
mummy,
turning to sand,
yeah.
he would just turn to fungus. But he doesn't have to turn his whole body into fungus. He can impale someone with a fungus arm. He can wrap himself around people. He can ruin their pizza. There's a lot of things he can do.
He would be a bigger, he would be a bigger threat to the turtles than Shredder.
I imagine he cuts a little piece of his. This is how it kind of begins. He takes a cigar cutter and cuts his pinky off and drops it into the water supply, and it just spreads the fungus so that the water is undrinkable.
And then he throws it back and walks away with a menacing laugh.
Yeah, exactly. And then they have to buy their bottled water from his bottled water plant, like Tank Girl.
That's sinister.
Yeah, he controls all the water now.
Because there wasn't that much water to begin with.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you heard the song.
Yeah, I did hear the song. Old Toad.
Toad never turns back. He's a mush head for the rest of his life.
He seemed happier, though.
Yeah, I guess. Before he was just a struggling musician, but now he's part of an army.
Yeah, now he has purpose.
Yeah.
He's dancing.
Well, he's a musician still, because he's got the harmonica.
Yeah, he has the harmonica.
But he can only play, one note at a time, because he doesn't know how to play harmonica.
He also has that tiny mouth, so...
Yeah, it's a more difficult, but I hear he cut a few albums. Toad sings the blues. Anywhere. The awful King Cooper.
Okay, Toad, you said. Oh man,
They de-evolve him even further to he's slime, but then they just put the harmonica in the slime.
and
Bubble, bubble.
and now he's he has the same problem that the king has.
He can become slime at will. Actually, in my version, the princess drinks him by accident, and then she becomes both musical, but at the same time, like sometimes Toad comes out, and then sometimes it's her in control, and they can never tell until she pees it out.
This is why we wouldn't write the.
This is why they stopped.
Yeah.
We pitched the sequel to Nintendo, and they were like, so they drink Toad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the king, the revered king that everyone loves,
Yes.
is evil now.
Mm-hmm.
So how do the Mario Brothers defeat him?
They don't. They just leave and then bomb the entrance.
Oh. Well, how does the king get defeated? He wins.
He rules with an iron fist.
But we tease at the end of that one, we tease that in the third one, Wart might come and challenge his power.
Wart is like Freddy Krueger, though, since he's in a dream.
Yeah. Actually, that would have been a very... no, it wouldn't. It's been done. It's just Freddy Krueger with the Mario Brothers, but I'd still see it.
I'd watch it.
Yeah. I'd watch it with the take one step and then you'll find Captain Lou Albano.
Yeah.
And Danny Wells as Luigi. Yeah.
Danny Wells.
I don't know who he is, but I'm assuming
You just knew who he was?
Well, I watched that video of like the multi-speed of the ending, so I saw his name about 100 times. I was like, I'm gonna commit this guy to memory because I feel he deserves it. Like, I know that these guys didn't ask for much. It was just a different time. Like, what do you do with the Mario property? I don't know. Let's get some wrestlers in here to just dance, and and then that's it. Then we'll play a cartoon for the kids. I remember coming home from kindergarten. I had because our kindergarten was split into two different things. You had early kindergarten, the AM kindergarten, or like noon kindergarten.
Yep, I was the same way. I was the AM kindergarten.
And I came home from the AM kindergarten, and whenever I came home, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show was on.
I don't remember when that was on for me. I think probably the same time.
Well, you were a year before me in kindergarten because we were
in the same. Yeah.
Because I skipped, I didn't go to the first grade, so there was it was a year apart for us.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So you might have had a different show. You might have had, I don't know what they had back then. Thundercats? I don't know.
Let's see. I think I watched G.I. Joe and Thundercats, and I don't know if I was into Transformers or not.
I really wasn't. I remember Inspector Gadget was my thing.
Yeah, I loved Inspector Gadget as a kid.
I remember he used to have the little bumpers that was like, I'll be back before you can spell wowzers. I remember going to my mom like, how do you spell wowzers? And she intentionally didn't tell me. She says, I don't know. Just so that I couldn't spell it and get mad that Inspector Gadget wasn't back yet. Like, there's still commercials on. This is why I didn't teach him how to spell wowzers. Here. It sounds like you got a cough. Take some cough syrup. All gone.
Thundercats.
Never watched it. Never watched Transformers. Never watched G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Matlock was my thing.
Are you like at that?
Not at that age. No, not at like 4 or 5. I was like, I don't know, I was like 10.
Okay, I maybe 10, but jeez, like at 4, I think it was still kids shows, maybe a little bit of Sesame Street. Yeah, I know that Dumb Elephant show.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it was called. I forget what it was. This.
We always look it up. Yeah, we always look it up and we always forget it immediately.
Yeah, because it was just an unmemorable show about these old people. I guess like these like middle-aged people singing kids songs, and then there was a guy in an elephant suit that would wander around like a jackass.
So yeah, like that sounds memorable. That was every episode. Oh, I remember one. I used to watch Muppet Babies a lot.
Oh yeah, I loved.
I watched a lot of Muppet Babies, and I was like, I know I watched other things. Of course, Scooby-Doo was Scrappy.
Oh yeah, and you know there was still the old Bugs Bunny, and you had Tom and Jerry and things like that.
Like I had a tape that my grandma got me.
Oh, I think my grandma got me the same with Little Lulu.
Oh yeah, the one at the end where she kills the bird.
The most depressing thing in the world.
It's like, because I remember watching all of them and being like, oh okay. It was like these old weird cartoons. Like one of them was like the old Daffy Duck where he was still an asshole and it was funny. And
also like the old Ubi Works stuff.
And it's like I remember being unsettled by some of them, but I still watched them because they were cartoons.
Yeah.
And, hey, this is Bugs Bunny. I know who that is. And then the last one, which after the first time I never really watched again.
No, I never. After I watched that one, I never picked that tape back up.
It's like she kills she thinks she shoots a bird, and then they held like a whole big bird funeral.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting, I'm like, man, this is just ending. Like I would have ended that if I was making that cartoon. I would have ended it before it woke back up. I would have just ended it with them burying the bird.
It was not just a funeral. It was a parade
Yeah.
of all the animals in the animal kingdom.
It was a procession.
And everyone was crying, and then little Lulu was crying, and they had the sad music.
But like, I still don't get why they had a big oil painting of Sloth at the bird's funeral. That didn't make sense to me back then.
Especially since there wasn't even a sloth back then.
Yeah, I guess they must have known.
They knew. Maybe we made that just to depress ourselves.
We went back in time. We're like, if we can't come together on this thing that's really sad to us, we will be mortal enemies.
Love science.
I hate him. I'm glad I wasn't scarred as a child by little Lulu.
I think it was required by law for every grandma to give that to their grandkids.
Yeah, because my nephew had one. It wasn't that one exactly, but he had an updated one for like DVD. Yeah, and I watched a few of them, and I was like, oh, because they had a few good ones stuck in there. Because I was a little older at that point. You know, I was like 19, 20. Actually, I was like 24 years old. It's like, oh, I like watching these old cartoons, and one of them was like Popeye versus Sinbad. I'm like, oh, cool. And it was like Popeye in World War II. I was like, all right, maybe we shouldn't show him this one.
I remember getting back to scenes that I always thought were really sad to me as a kid. I couldn't watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit that much because I always thought who played the detective again?
Oh, Ernie Hudson.
No, it's not Ernie Hudson.
Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins. Bob Hoskins, when he's looking at the picture of his dead brother, like, really sold that to me as a kid, like, how sad he looked.
To me, I just fast forwarded. I was like, get to the funny. Get to the cartoon. When's Roger gonna sing?
So, that depressed me as a kid, and so I didn't really watch it that much. But looking back, what?
I have go ahead, finish your story.
But looking back, that is probably one of the best films of all time.
I remember
that was a Zemeckis film.
Yep, and I remember at the end of Turtles 1 when the Shredder is about to like stab Leonardo. Like, he dies unless you throw your weapons away. I remember for some reason that made me cry because I thought he was gonna die. That made me really sad that Leonardo was gonna die. I was like, it could happen. And now as I'm an adult, I'm like, man, he should have stabbed him. That would have been cool. Like, shake things up a little bit. Kids can handle it, but as a kid, I couldn't have handled it.
It didn't. Nothing made me cry. Like, it would just give me a really bad. I didn't think kids could get depressed or have depression, but apparently, it's possible.
I just expressed my emotions and cried.
I
cried over everything. I cried when we didn't have enough milk. I cried when they didn't teach the letter people in the right order in kindergarten. It's a true story.
Oh yeah, when you broke that kid's pencil.
Oh yeah. Well, to be fair, I was already crying before I broke his pencil because I was in second grade and I borrowed this kid's pencil because I don't know what the hell happened. I forgot it. I was always losing pencils, and then we had like music. The music teacher would come in. He played a song. It's okay to cry. It might make you feel better. And then something happened. I think I got an answer wrong or a test, or I sneezed too hard and I started crying. And I got so frustrated and angry, my crying. He's like, yeah, and I just snapped the pencil. And then here's a kid going, hey, my pencil. And that just made me cry harder. And it did not make me feel better whatsoever. It made me actually feel emphatically worse.
Isn't that the most kind of, hippie baby boomer type song there? Like,
go ahead and cry. It might make you feel better.
Though I guess in the late '80s, that's when they were kind of really starting to, get a handle on what mental health is, rather than stuff people in an asylum,
it's like,
and have them rot.
You want to cry? Well, don't. Go beat an animal or something. That's much healthier.
So I don't actually blame them for that song, because that's what they thought would work.
Like, there's I guess there was like, I guess for me I just cried a lot, so I didn't know how to. I didn't know the times to cry and when not to cry. And then so for like years, after like in my teens and adult years, I was like, I just couldn't cry no matter what I could do. And I was like, boy, I wish I could cry, because this is worse.
Yeah.
I started breaking people's pencils and shit, and it was like, it didn't work.
There was nary intact pencil about.
I just switched to pens because that was a lot harder to break, and when it did, it made a mess, so I tended not to do it. So I just channeled my anger into other things like knitting. That's a lie. I didn't do that. I'm gonna make you quite a shawl.
You're getting such an Afghan. I don't think I ever cried at school growing up. Even when they were doing that weird experiment thing, the one, the
needle test.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but all the kids were standing in line at the classroom, and then some kids were kind of crying and huddled, and everyone was kind of nervous and scared, and my kindergarten teacher said, all right, Britton, get in line. And I'm just, it's my turn to get in line for whatever this is.
I like lines.
Like, what's she crying about? Not my problem. She looks foolish crying in school. I'm not a crybaby. And then, the nurse, it's my turn, and the nurse is there, and she has this little cylinder that she just pokes me in the back of the hand with, and I just scream, like, ow! And, and she said, all right, you're all done, and I go back in. I'm like, what are these crybabies crying about?
It's like, see, I imagine that story goes a lot, darker, where she has a little puppet, like a frog puppet. It's like, oh, here you go. The frog puppet gives you a kiss on the cheek, like, oh, and then she sticks you.
It's one of those injection guns.
It's like, all right, now this might hurt. Now go back in and don't cry. They're all crying because it was scary to them. It wasn't the prick.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure everyone heard that it was like a needle, and like the kids that didn't know what was going on and got the pin in the back of their hand, probably came in crying, and that scared the other kids. Meanwhile, old Britain's just, oh, what's going on? Well, I better stand it. If there was a guy with a gun out there, I would have been dead.
If there was like, if they just like, all right, we're gonna line you all up here, and you're next in line. Like, man, none of those other kids have come back. Dum-da-dum-da-dum.
Oh, well,
firecrackers outside.
I guess it's the 4th of July. I don't know dates yet.
I didn't think I had a last name when I was in kindergarten. I'm serious. I was like, my name is Mark. And then I found out, they're like, all right, so Mark, and they said my last name, and I'm like, I guess I'm Mark. And then, man, my mind was blown when I found out that I had a middle name.
I don't know when I learned that I had other names other than my main name.
My dad just called me, called me weird thing, called me like Markle Finarkle.
Really?
Yeah, that was one of his nicknames. All right there, Markle Finarkle. Now I think about it, I don't know what the hell I was trying to do.
That was his attempt at bonding.
Yeah. So call me buddy and pal, that was normal.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but like he also called me that when he was angry, so it wasn't good.
Old buddy, old pal.
Yeah. Why don't you come sit on my lap here, old buddy, old pal? Daddy's got some wisdom for you. Oh, and he just takes the belt off the wall. We were all actually before he hit us with the belt, he would like do that thing where you'd snap the belt.
Yeah.
I guess because intimidation was part of the the show for him.
You can't just physically discipline the kids; you have to also mentally.
Yeah, like you have to throw a little bit of fear in there.
Yeah.
Like I think he was trying to work in that maybe if I just do this, like it'll come to the point where that'll make them cry and run to their rooms.
Like it was very Pavlovian.
Yeah, and to us it was just like he kind of blew the whole deal because he would do that sometime as a joke, like I'm gonna beat you. I'm just kidding. Keep us in a constant state of fear. And yet, like we still did bad things.
Yeah, like the threat of being beaten never stopped kids from doing bad things.
Yeah, it was a constant threat hanging over us, but we just got better at hiding hiding the things that we were doing wrong. My mom didn't know that me and my sister would hustle for dollars and like quarters and go to the 7-Eleven. She didn't learn about that until like 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she never knew about that.
Like, what were her thoughts on that?
She kind of like me and my sister were in the car like joking about it. We were going somewhere, and it was like on a vacation or something, and like because we don't get to don't get to spend time with them that much, and so we were just reminiscing a bit, and we were talking about, oh, remember this, remember that, and like my mom's like, I never knew you did that, and me and my sister's like, what are you gonna do now? Hit us? And then she crashed into the car because we weren't wearing our seatbelts, so I guess that took care of us.
So, what, she didn't? I guess she didn't approve of it.
No, not at all. Would you approve of your hellspawn children running around the neighborhood and basically hitting people up for quarters and dimes just so they could walk to the 7-Eleven? Because she didn't know we did that either. I was like, oh, I know. And she should have, because one time I showed her the shortcut that we take, but my mom was not very observant. It's like, oh, we just cut across here, and it's like a 5-minute walk. It's like a magic portal. I was like, all right, whatever this kid says, well, I guess, And then she found out later that we were just going unsupervised to the 7-Eleven, like by a highway, and just getting like Bazooka Joe gum and everything.
Let's see. Well, I used to go off on my own when I was like 8 or 9 to the local candy shop.
Yeah.
And you could do that back then without fear of being abducted.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was, you could still be abducted, you just didn't have the fear of it.
I guess. I don't know if the abduction rate was the same and just not as reported, or if things have just gotten worse.
I like to think that it's been somewhat steady. We just kind of know about it more now.
And like parents, I guess, are like, we'll just roll the dice. I don't feel like taking them.
Again, my parents didn't know. Like, so my mom was sleeping the middle of the day because she worked nights, and my dad was at work. We were just kind of like, all right, well, let's see what we can get from the neighbors, and then let's go to 7-Eleven. It's like, oh, I got a lollipop.
Like, it's like there are worse things kids kids could do than
like drugs, I guess. 8 years old doing reefer sticks.
Like, what were you doing? Going around singing?
Yeah. They were doing Miss Mary Mac, you know what I mean? Like,
it's not bad.
Breaking windows, extorting them, telling them that if they want to see their house plan again, and give them little leave clippings.
Asking for protection money.
Yeah. So, we had a whole racket going on.
Yeah.
Then that became, I guess that just became too hard. So, anyway, Carrion. I almost forgot the name of the movie. I didn't really think it was that bad, but it definitely wasn't good.
It wasn't good by any stretch. It was kind of a little confusing, but definitely not boring.
Take it for what it is. It's definitely, if you want to see something hypnotic and kind of trippy, then give it a shot, because it definitely has a surreal atmosphere.
Yeah, but set the bar low.
Yeah. All right. See you later.
Toodaloo.
All right, that'll hold a little SOBs.